Hello, Bitbusters, and welcome to Chipcraft. My name is Andrew, also known as AJMIM on the Chips Challenge Discord server, and in this series, I'm going to be going over some of the lessons I've learned through experience while designing Chips Challenge levels. In this series, Series 1, I'm going to be going over some of the technical aspects of level design, little subtleties of levels design that can either make it or break it, cause it to work, cause it to not work, cause it to be busted, and I'll be sharing some tips and tricks you can use to avoid problems. For the first lesson of this series, we're going to be tackling one of the most infamous glitches in the Microsoft version of Chips Challenge, slide delay. So what exactly is slide delay? Well, it is a glitch exclusive to the Microsoft version of Chips Challenge 1, where blocks and monsters that are sliding can, under certain circumstances, move erratically and cause other monsters and blocks to move erratically, rather than moving forward and backwards at a constant rate. In this example, you can see, for instance, that this block along the bottom, it speeds up and then it slows down and speeds back up again rather than moving at the constant rate of twice chip speed, which would be normal for an object sliding on ice. This makes it a little bit tricky to get through, as anyone who's played Blockbuster can probably tell you. Once again, this glitch is exclusive to the Microsoft version of Chips Challenge 1. It does not occur in the Lynx version of Chips Challenge 1 that comes with Tile World, nor does it occur in Chips Challenge 2. Slide delay can affect monsters and blocks on ice, force floors, or teleports, but only under certain conditions. I'm going to be using this level as a sort of a control group to illustrate slide delay. In this example, the two pink balls are sliding around the force floors in perfect sync with each other, and they're hitting the toggle buttons in perfect sync with each other. They are not being affected by slide delay, because simply moving onto and off of sliding tiles is not enough to cause slide delay. Because these pink balls are in sync with each other, these two at the top of the level are not moving into the traps. They are stopped by the toggle walls constantly. Now, in the next 5 levels I tell you, I'm going to go over 5 levels I'll show you, I'm going to go over 5 different situations where this is not the case, where slide delay is in effect. So the first of these cases that can cause slide delay is when an object bounces back on ice. You can see these pink balls along the bottom are moving slightly erratically, and over a little bit of time, the ones going around here also begin to move erratically. So that's one case where slide delay can happen. A second case that's fairly similar is when something gets stuck on a force floor and it can't move off the force floor because there's a solid object in the way. You can see the effect of slide delay is pretty severe. It's actually, slide delay is essentially happening every single move. As long as these balls stay on the force floors, they will continue to cause slide delay. Third case, a little less common, is when a blocker monster gets stuck in a teleport because all of the possible exit squares are occupied. Once again, they continue to cause slide delay as long as they're there. This fourth example is a little bit complicated. There are a few different cases to consider. But basically, if a block slides into a trap, it causes slide delay as long as it's in the trap. The game remembers that the block is sliding because if it is released from the trap, it will keep moving, unlike a block that's just pushed into a trap without sliding. And there are a few reasons why the block can be stuck in a trap. It could be stuck in the trap because its button hasn't been hit. It could be stuck in the trap because its button has been hit, but it can't move out because there's an obstacle in the way. Either way will cause slide delay. Also, a subtle case is that if a block is sliding and it gets pushed into a trap from a sliding state, it'll be no different than if it were sliding directly into the trap. It will cause slide delay in this case. It will remember that it is sliding. And this last example, this is a really rare case, but if something slides directly onto a clone button, like this glider, and that happens to clone a block onto ice, it will cause just a little bit of slide delay, and that's just enough to throw off these pink balls going around here. Again, it's a pretty rare case, but it could happen in your level if you're not careful. And now I'm going to go over some situations where blocks and monsters are sliding, but they don't cause slide delay. So you can see to the right, this paramecium going through a teleport successfully, that does not cause slide delay. This block going through a teleport successfully does not cause slide delay. Even if I block this teleport so that the paramecium slides straight over this bottom teleport because there's no other teleport for it to go to, it will not cause slide delay because it's not stuck on the teleport. Over here, cloning monsters into traps. Monsters and traps do not cause slide delay even if they slid into the trap. And pushing a block into a trap, that doesn't cause slide delay either, as long as the block wasn't sliding. Over here, we can just see some more examples going from ice to force floors, reversing direction on force floors, and in this bottom case, reversing direction on ice, but the tile right after the ice rebound is a floor tile. You're not bouncing onto ice, you're bouncing onto floor, so you don't cause slide delay. It's also important to note that chip does not cause slide delay, and chip's movement is not affected by slide delay. Now, why is slide delay a problem? Well, depending on the level, it can make things either harder or easier than intended. In this case, you can see there are a few pink balls that will move back and forth on the ice. Normally, they'd be moving in a sort of a slant pattern that makes it fairly easy to go up, but hard to go down. However, um, because of the slide delay, they will quickly devolve into a bit of chaos, which makes it hard to get through successfully. It was similar to the example at the start where you needed to get through the sliding blocks and avoid pushing them, just like in Blockbuster. This next case is a challenge that involves pushing a sliding block on ice. Now, because of the bombs being right on the other side of the ice slide, if Chip goes up, he has to hit the block, he has to push the block, or else he will die. But because the block is moving erratically, it's a bit hard to do. And the block can also kill Chip by sliding onto him. Now, in order to make this challenge a bit more fair, if you cannot get rid of the slide delay, you can at least get rid of the danger. So let's go to the next level and see an example of how to do that. In this case, once again, there's a block sliding on ice and it's affected by slide delay, but two things have changed. One, Chip is now able to push the block from an adjacent space. Um, this matters because as long as Chip doesn't have ice skates, the block will never kill him in this situation. If Chip misses the block, he will slide right in front of it or slide behind it. It will not run him over. The other thing that changed is that there's now a safe spot below the bomb, so when Chip slides across the ice, if he didn't manage to push the block, he will not instantly die. He'll have a safe place to land. That makes things a lot more fair and reasonable, especially if that block pushing challenge occurred at the end of a long level. Now here's an example where slide delay makes the level easier, makes it busted, lets you avoid an intended part of the solution. Normally, you'd have to put a block here where Chip is standing, and then push the other block along the force floor. The first block would prop it up and let you push it to the trap button. Because of the slide delay, this block is going to linger on the force floor a bit longer than usual. You can just push it twice, and it's on the trap button. And that's the level. Here's another case where it can make the level easier. Normally, you'd have to use this red key to unlock the door so that there's space for the block to slide, because in normal circumstances, a block that rebounds after just one space on ice would kill Chip. The same thing would happen if this were a force floor pointing left. Chip would normally not be able to get out of the way. However, because these pink balls down here are introducing slide delay, the block is slowed down a bit and you can get through pretty easily in this case. Here's one case that's weird because it doesn't seem like there should be slide delay. These pink balls going around are the same ones you've seen in the earlier levels. They don't cause slide delay on their own. But this block hitting a wall actually causes slide delay to itself, and a variant where it actually moves faster than usual instead of slower. It moves twice in a space where it's supposed to only move once. So what happens is if you try to just hold the right key until you push the block and then quickly tap the up key, you will die. Look at this. The block just bounces back a little too fast. Chip cannot get out of the way, and he will always die. Now you can get around this in this case by using something called a spring step, but it's a bit difficult, especially for casual players, and it's not something you'd normally be expected to do in this situation. This next level is an example which shows that if there are no other sliding objects in the level, then you can get through the two-space block rebound fairly easily. Just push it and press up as soon as you can, and you're good. So one thing you can do if you can't avoid having other sliding objects in the level, and you need to have a challenge where you push a block and get out of the way before it rebounds on you, make sure that the rebound slide is at least 3 tiles long. This is pretty simple to do. Just hold the right key and then press up at the first opportunity, and you're golden. Here's one last example of a bust caused by slide delay. You can see these teleports are set up so that Chip would normally exit this one. In order to get to the exit, you would normally need to use both blocks and build a partial post, making a barrier that Chip cannot push, so he's forced to come out the teleport on the left, where the exit is. However, slide delay will cause this block to, when it enters the teleport, immediately go to the middle teleport, but linger on there for a moment before sliding off. Since nothing is allowed to come out of a teleport that already has an object on it, Chip will actually skip that teleport and come out of the exit. This is just another very strange bust caused by slide delay that can be very hard to anticipate if you don't know what to look for. So why does slide delay occur? Well, it is a bug that has to do with the way the Microsoft version of the game implements sliding objects. Whenever a block or monster starts to slide, it is put on something called the slip list, which was an ordered list of objects, each object representing whatever is sliding and its position and direction. Normally, every tenth of a second, which is twice as frequently as Chip can walk on normal ground, the game will go through the slip list from start to end. It'll use a pointer to keep track of what object it's moving, and once it's moved that object, that pointer will go to the next spot in the list to move the next object. Now, whenever something leaves the slip list, in the normal case where it just moves on to like a blank floor, um, it gets removed from the slip list and the next object in line takes its place. Everything moves up to the front of the line, one space. The game recognizes that the slip list is smaller than it was before, so it realizes something was removed. There's a new object in the current place where the pointer is. The pointer needs to stay there, and we need to process the new object, which in this example, if the glider at the start of the slip list left, that would be the fireball. So the fireball is processed, it moves, everything is good. The rest of the list is processed normally. But in the case of slide delay, the way it implements those 5 cases involves something being removed from the slip list and added to the slip list in the same little move, fraction of a second. So what happens in the case of a glider rebounding on ice, as shown up there, is that the glider is removed from the start of the slip list and added to the end of the slip list. The game checks the slip list size, sees it's the same as before, so it assumes that nothing's changed, but that's actually incorrect. The pointer moves on to the next slot. The fireball that moved into the glider's place was never processed, so it stays still for a fraction of a second longer than it should. Meanwhile, the glider got added back to the end of the slip list. It's going to move a second time when the pointer reaches the end of the slip list. That's what happens in the example you saw earlier, where you have the 2-tile ice slide and the block rebounds faster than it's supposed to. Since there was another sliding object, the 2 pink balls, the block was at the start of the slip list. It got moved to the end of the slip list and processed twice in the same move right when it rebounded. So yes, this is why the slide delay glitch occurs, and it is a mistake on the part of the people who programmed the Microsoft version of the game for Windows Entertainment Pack. Now, the people who programmed Tile World, they knew about the glitch, but they left it in intentionally so that it would correctly emulate the Microsoft rule set, and you would get the same experience optimizing levels as you would in Microsoft. Thankfully, this glitch slide delay does not occur in Lynx mode or in Chips Challenge 2 mode because they do not use a slip list like this. This means if you're designing levels for Chips Challenge 2, you do not need to be aware of those 5 cases where slide delay can occur. So there you have it. Those are the basics of slide delay. To recap, it's a glitch that occurs only in the Microsoft version of Chips Challenge 1. It affects sliding monsters and blocks on force floor ice and teleports, does not affect Chip. It occurs in 5 main situations, and in most cases those situations are when a sliding object rebounds or gets stuck on another object or wall. Now, slide delay can interfere with levels by making timing challenges unnecessarily hard for the player or by allowing busts, particularly when you expect a block to either slide back into the player or slide out of the way before the player can push it a second time. However, sometimes levels don't um, really suffer from slide delay. Sometimes it will not actually contribute to a bust, so you'll have to take a case-by-case look at it and determine whether slide delay is a problem in the level you've designed and whether you can do anything to prevent it or mitigate it. Thank you all for watching, and if you have any questions or you thought of something about slide delay that either got wrong or could have mentioned additionally, please leave a comment below.